do anything.
Because that isn't it. There was a pin that, was there a piece of paper? Was there a piece of paper taped
This
like mine?
work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers a list of dates annually, indicating that this work session, regular meeting, would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7:00 p.m. on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public, is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain for the invocation, which will be given by Councilwoman Kimberly Francois. If she's not here, then, okay, then I'm next in order. Oh, Phil, do you don't do them? Then I'll do it, okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us each take the next few moments of silence to each seek in our own way whatever source of inspiration will grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decision to be for the benefit of all people at all times, and let the council draw strength and wisdom to govern for all the people to the best of their ability for the best of all our people. Amen. Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the council.
Councilman Chase, Councilwoman Francois, Councilman Kramer,
Here.
Mayor Levine,
Here.
Councilman Prasad, Councilman Regan,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sherman,
Here.
Councilman Vastanella,
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Okay. Thank you. This one, too. And we have a quorum. Thank you very much. We are following along on our agenda. You can feel free to get the agendas over by a clerk, Ms. McCarthy, and associated resolutions and ordinances. You can, don't worry about being rude. There is no such thing here. You can get up, walk around, get what you want there. We are now coming to item number 5 on the agenda, our commendations and proclamations. And a little bit after that, we'll come to the point where we'll hear from the public on anything that is on your mind. So I'll explain how that goes. At that point, we'll just be in a few moments. So now at item number 5, commendations and proclamations, of which we have 3. And the first will be Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm going to be joined by Councilman Brian Regan.
Where's Carl?
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Franklin Township. We're here today. We're going to do a number of proclamations, as the mayor mentioned. And the first one is in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month, which is technically a little inaccurate. It's actually, there was a Mental Health Awareness Week, which was the second week of October. But in Franklin, we thought we'd make it a month. So, Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas serious mental illness such as major depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsion disorder, severe anxiety disorders, borderline personality disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorders affect 1 in 4 people annually. And whereas serious mental illness is a highly treatable medical illness of the brain posing the same concern as cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and other illnesses. And whereas scientific research is constantly working towards breakthroughs in the understanding of mental illness, resulting in more effective treatments to allow people to reclaim full and productive lives. And whereas misunderstandings exist about mental illness and social culture, often wrongly impose a stigma on mental illness. And whereas the Somerset National Association on Mental Illness, Somerset NAMI, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness through education, support, advocacy, and public aware programs. And whereas Somerset NAMI fosters understanding about mental illness, confronts stigma often associated with mental disorders, advocates for public policies that benefit those affected by mental illness, and promotes research into the causes, treatment, and recovery of mental health disorders. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Brian Regan, Councilman, on behalf of Brian Levine, Mayor of Franklin Township, and the Town Council, hereby do proclaim October 2013 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the Township of Franklin to increase public awareness of mental illness and to promote treatment and recovery. And I realized I should have had representatives from Somerset NAMI come up first before I started reading, so I'll have them come up now. Many of you know my wife Janice. Is here. So as the proclamation says, you know, mental illness is a very serious issue within the country today, and fundamentally, government does not, have the programs to treat it. We see, unfortunately, many incidents today involving, violence associated with mental disorders that are not treated early. We see that our prisons have become the mental health, facilities of the day because of the rulings that were changed in the 70s. So it's groups like NAMI, which there is a Somerset chapter. It's a state organization and a Somerset chapter. And at this point, I'll let Janice talk a little more about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Somerset NAMI and National NAMI, I would like to thank Franklin Township for being one of the first townships in the country to recognize the important work that NAMI does, not only locally but nationally. We have monthly on Thursday, the first Thursdays of the month at the Richard Hall Center in Bridgewater, open meetings for anyone that both family members and people who suffer from mental illnesses is open free to anyone who would like to come out, as well as a program called Family to Family. It's a 12-week course, again, free. It's taught by families to families, and information can be found on the website, www.naminj.org. That's NAMINewJersey.org, or calling 732-940-0991. And again, thank you, Franklin Township, for being one of the first to take away the stigma and roll back that curtain, because, again, 1 in 4 family members suffer from this, and I thank you very much.
So as Janice, talked about the NAMI organization, what they do in the Somerset chapter, it's very critical for families involved that have mental health issues, because for people who have family members with this disease, this illness, it's a 24/7 problem. You don't get a break from it. It's on you day after day, hour after hour, and potentially minute after minute. And for families, for the caretakers, there's a tremendous stress that is put on the families. So organizations like Somerset NAMI is really a godsend for the families that are affected by it, because you get the ability to talk and share about what you're going through with other people who fully understand what you're going through it, because they are on a daily basis. So again, my thanks to Somerset NAMI, to the families involved, and for public awareness. If someone in your family, you think someone in your family has a mental illness, just Google NAMI, you'll get to the NAMI site, and then go to the state, New Jersey, and then you'll see that each county has one, and you can click on Somerset, and there you will have a resource. Sometimes the shame associated with having family members with a mental health illness stops you from looking for help. So, it's important, especially for caretakers, to move past that so that they can help themselves. Thank you all very much.
Okay, thanks to Councilman Regan, Ms. Regan for that, especially you're saying about removing the stigma, which I think we've had a bad history throughout society on that, and it's now coming to fruition where that could be. People realize, and you stated very well, just like cancer or anything else, it's an illness. My wife is a psychologist, so I've got an education, which I'm sorry to admit I wasn't well versed in before, but I realize how important it is, and you give your time, so that's terrific. So thanks again a lot. And now from Councilman Prasad, we'll have our commendation for Diwali.
Stay here. So we have a proclamation, and it's for Diwali. Whereas Diwali is a festival of lights, during which celebrants light small oil lamps, place them around the home, and pray for health, knowledge, and peace. And whereas celebrants of Diwali believe that rows of lamps symbolize the light within the individual that rids the soul of the darkness of ignorance. And whereas Diwali falls on the last day of the last month in the lunar calendar and is celebrated as a day of thanksgiving and the beginning of the new year for many Hindus, and whereas for Hindus Diwali is a celebration of the victory of good over evil, and whereas for Sikhs Diwali is fated as the day that the sixth founding Sikh Guru or revered teacher Guru Har Gobind was released from captivity by the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. And whereas for Jains, Diwali marks the anniversary of the attainment of moksha or liberation by Lord Mahavira, the last of the Tirankaras, who were the great teachers of Jain Dharma at the end of his life in 527 BC. Now, therefore, I, Brian D. Levine, and Councilman Rajiv Prasad, on behalf of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, and State of New Jersey, do hereby recognize October 23rd to October 27th as Diwali 2013 in the Township of Franklin, and will call upon its residents to observe and celebrate Diwali with various activities and programs to learn about its religious and historical significance. And we have one of our elders in town who's lived in town for a long time, Mr. Chandrakant Desai and Mrs. Desai here. And so I'd ask him to say a few words, and I believe he's also brought some sweets for everybody. So if you could, please accept this proclamation on behalf of the township and say a few words, please. Enjoy the picture. Yeah. Over this way. So you...
Thank you.
Want to say a few words?
Honorable Mayor Brian Levine, Honorable Councilman Rajiv Prasad, and all other honorable council members, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to get this opportunity to speak here about the Diwali celebration. Diwali is a celebration of lights, and it started with Lord Rama, who is considered in the Indian scriptures as the incarnation of God. He had a victory over the demon Raman, and that way it is celebrated as the victory of good over the evil, and that is being celebrated in view of that particular victory. But it has got several other significance also, that it is a festival of lights, so it is means reminding us to come from, we have to bring ourselves from darkness to light. We have a prayer in Indian scriptures. It says that, "O God, bring me from darkness to light, from falsehood to truth, and from mortality to immortality." That is the very short prayer in the Vedas. And it reminds about that particular prayer also. And so that way, this reminds us about this particular values. Now, about Rama, if I have to tell you, he was, means, scriptures say that, see, we don't know, it's a very old history. 7,000 years ago he was born, it is said, and he was the first one who understood the democratic values. In his kingdom, all were considered equal without any exception, and he heard even the lowest person of the community with equal consideration. And therefore, whenever the happiest government will be there, it is said that it is Ramraja, it is the kingdom of Rama. It is a kind of symbolic. Supposing in India right now, if the Prime Minister is doing good job and everything all right, all are happy, then we'll say that it is the kingdom of God. So that is, it has become symbolic like that. And he is also symbol, Lord Rama is also symbol of the democratic values, which we, as the American citizens also, we value that democratic value. So this is something I can tell about Lord Rama and his victory over the evil, and for that we celebrate this Diwali function. Wish you all the best. Happy Diwali.
Need some help with distributing the sweets? Yeah. Okay. You want to help them distribute the sweets? If you could. Okay, all right, great. Ask those young people to help with the distribution of the sweets. Okay, great, thank you. Please.
Thanks, Councilman Prasad, Mr. and Ms. Desai, for all the good you do, good honored members of our community, and imparting your wisdom to us often, so I appreciate that. Okay, and next we have Councilman James Vassanella with Little League, and I believe you were a participant, complete with news articles some point a couple decades ago when you were in the Little League. Okay.
Well, actually, for one moment, I will talk about that. Little League celebrated a milestone this year. Some of you may know, and some of you may not. It's 60 years old. So it started in 1953. Now, fast forward to 16 years or so, 69 or 70, I played Little League. To me, I just assumed it had been around forever. You don't think about how it got there and what went into it. Not all that much changed, although some great changes with the lights and the other field and whatnot, but a lot of it's the same. So back then it seemed old. Fast forward to now, my he turned 9 in 2 weeks. He's played for a few years. My dad was a coach. My sisters were cheerleaders. But the neighbors, the community, it was just, Little League was just part of your life. I mean, we always not everybody plays, but you usually knew someone who played. It just became part of your life. And I'll read the proclamation, which in a snapshot of the history. Someday somebody should do a catalog or a documentary on it. I think there's enough there to appreciate. Can I have a couple of the members who want to come up? Actually, anybody who wants to come up that's involved, please. One of the privileges we get to do as council people is to give a proclamation or commendation. And as you saw, the two others that were very serious and important to be given and acknowledged. I thank my council colleagues for those. This is a big privilege for me, and hopefully the whole community will appreciate Little League a little bit more. And don't worry, I only brought two. I have a few more. These are trophies from 1972 and 1971. So these things are in my basement, but I remember they're there. I knew what they looked like. I knew where they were. And I'm sure people from even 1953 right up to kids playing this past year appreciate and will always appreciate those memories when they get to my age and even older. And they haven't changed too much. Matter of fact, the PBA, I think Jane and Kirby, I think they're gone, but a lot of the teams that were still there, were the sponsors of the teams, are still there today, ironically. And a lot of the sponsors who don't even have kids playing, and the coaches are still involved, and I thank you for that. So let me read the proclamation and have you guys say something about the Little League here. Franklin Township Baseball League. Whereas the Franklin Township Baseball League has served the growing and diverse community of Franklin Township since 1953 and is the longest running youth sports organization in the township, and is entirely run by volunteers to promote, develop, and supervise youth baseball. And whereas the Franklin Township Baseball League provides organized youth baseball and softball programs for more than 600 children ranging in ages from 5 to 16, comprising 7 baseball and 3 softball divisions. And whereas throughout its history, Franklin Township Baseball League has won state championship, 2 sectional championships, and 9 district championships, as well as participating in 5 state tournaments. And whereas the Franklin Township Baseball League has maintained a volunteer community of active parents and grandparents, and many current players are second generation with their parents now serving as coaches, which exemplifies a tight-knit community and volunteerism and establishes a sense of social service. Now, therefore, we, Councilman James Vassanella and Mayor Brian D. Levine, on behalf of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, and the citizens of the Township of Franklin join together to acknowledge and commend the Franklin Township Baseball League on its 60th anniversary and urge all citizens to be cognizant of the importance of organized sports in the development of our most valuable assets, our youth. I'm not sure who wants that. Please, I said enough about what it means to me. If you can talk a little bit about the Little League, I'd appreciate it.
It would be my pleasure, sir. And nice to see them. I know there's some around my house as well, and that's a wonderful thing. Memories as well. Good evening. My name is John Brewer, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Franklin Baseball League. With me here tonight, as you can see, is quite a few of us. Come on, you guys stand up. Get up. Come on, stand up. Come on, stand up. This is about all of us. And I want to point out that there's a group that cannot be with us here tonight. Our 10-year-old team is currently in the championship game in the Bridgewater Baseball League fall ball season. I want to send a shout out to them because they couldn't be with here tonight. They're playing some good baseball and deep into the season. We are very proud of the fact that we're the oldest continuous youth sports facility in Franklin Township. As was said, the league was started in 1953. It started off with 6 local merchants sponsoring about 60 boys who played on their very first games were played on the field in front of Pine Grove School on a field that was borrowed from the Board of Education. We now get to play in 5 very nice fields. If you've ever been down to see the complex, you'll know that. If you haven't, you really should come down. As a councilman said, just about 600 kids played this year. We're very proud of our complex, and it is the envy of a lot of teams that come and visit us. Another point of pride for us is the fact that we are a 100% volunteer organizations. Moms, dads, grandmas, grandpops, uncles, brothers, everybody gets involved. We have a very active program. We have active games we play from early in the month of April till, as I just said, we still have teams playing. For the board of directors, for the folks that are standing around here tonight, it's really a 12-month commitment on their part. I'm proud to be part of this group. As soon as one season is over, it's right into planning for the next season. We're very proud of the fact of the kids, and I want to say that it's all of the commitment is for the love of the kids to every person that's involved. I haven't found anybody that it's yes, we all want to see the development of the kids, and we want to see, the development. We love to watch their baseball skills, but we also get a lot of satisfaction out of watching the social development, the teamwork, the organizational skills at whatever level it is. You start to see it in them at a very young, and it is very rewarding. There's a lot of tradition in baseball. Baseball, the game itself, is full of traditions, and the tradition around here is, as you pointed out, we now have third generations. If your grandson, and that's the way it should be. That the parents have always raked the fields for the kids, and the kids then rake the fields for the grandkids, and that's the way it should be, and that's how a 60-year-old organization lasts, and before you know it, it's 160 years old. I would be remiss if I didn't thank, I always try to thank, and whenever I get a chance to speak in public, to thank sponsors, and I'd be remiss tonight if I didn't thank one of our staunchest and longest supporters over the entire life of this Little League, and that is, in fact, the Township of Franklin. The Township of Franklin has stood by us. The current council has been very supportive in helping us put lights on 2 of the 5 fields at our complex. Previous councils have helped us when we've had parking and space problems as we were growing over the years. The police department is always there for whatever we might need. The Parks and Rec department, the FMBA and the PBA both sponsor teams. The Board of Ed is still loaning us fields when we have tournaments or we need fields to practice on. In addition, just random other agencies within the township, as well as individual township employees, are always very generous with their time, advice on renovation projects, just helping us get things done around the facility. I know I've missed someone. I apologize, but my gratitude is no less sincere, believe me. We've enjoyed a very close relationship with the council, and we look forward to another 60 years. We always have thoughts and plans. We're a very robust organization that always has things in the plans to make the experience better for the kids, and we no doubt you'll be hearing from us. And it's wonderful to know that we have your support. I'll close with that and invite you to opening day, which is going to start our second 60 years. Okay, next spring. All right.
So thank you, and just if you haven't been to a Little League game, seriously, opening day, hopefully it'll be something special, 61 first year, but please go out. It's, there's trophies here, but I don't really remember exactly, what game we won or lost. It's, you forge your relationships, and now our town has grown so much, and soccer's wonderful, football, all the other sports, but something about baseball that really just drives it home. It just comes back to the history of our town and the sense of community. So please support the Little League in any way you can. Thank you. Mayor, did you want to say anything? Sure. Go ahead, please.
Okay. For everyone here, Mr. Brewer, Captain, everyone here, appreciate all that you do, and as you said, not only the technical skills, but the sportsmanship, the camaraderie, the learning is probably is even more important. And as you said, it's a private organization, and when you look at groups like Little League, Pop Warner football, soccer, wrestling, etc., these are all volunteer groups of parents. They literally save the taxpayers tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars because they do it all on their own. They're not relying on the town. So for all of our 63,000 residents, we thank you for that also, from their pocketbooks, but also from building better characters for all of our kids. Okay. We are now at item
I'll have another one.
number 6 on the agenda, which is the mayor's report. And,
Thank
oh, no, Mike, thank you very much. I don't want to be, okay, I'll take it. Thank you.
Ransom?
And, in a moment, after Mayor, Deputy Mayor's report, we'll get to the public discussion where you can say anything that is on your mind. We're certainly glad to hear about that. And as I usually do, I say what my mug of the meeting is, and today I'm going to bring 2 because I couldn't decide. One is the Thomas Edison Energy Smart Charter School here in town. They do extremely good work. I toured there. I was extremely impressed with what they do with the kids, involving the families, etc. And I'm always thrilled to speak to kids anyway. So thank you to them. The other one, because these are both recent items, was a couple weeks ago, the Latino Leadership Alliance of New Jersey, that's their mug, had their annual gala. That was a great event, attended by the likes of Senator Vitale from over in Woodbridge and a few other people like Senator Tom Kane Jr., Senator Thompson. The governor was the keynote speaker. Martine Perez, who's the president, is now a member of Rutgers Board of Governors, which is dear to my heart as an alumnus. And I was there also, hopefully giving Franklin any kind of good representation. So 2 good places, so thank you to them. So what we're going to do is go through the agenda. As I said, you feel free to come, take whatever you want, follow along. There's going to be a time later on when I'm going to ask if you want to speak about particular ordinances. That's item 13, but that's only going to be on those particular ordinances. If you want to speak of anything of a general nature, again, which we're glad to hear, and I'll give you our policy at that point, I'll tell you in a couple of minutes. Our meetings are generally the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. The exception will be December, when there is only the 2nd Tuesday of the month. The 4th Tuesday kind of runs into holidays, makes it difficult. So we just had a special election a week ago. The general election is coming up November 5th. Certainly keep that in mind, and if you can find out about your candidates by knowing what they really think and want to do, as opposed to the glossy literature you get in the mail, that's always the best way, of course. Franklin hosted the Somerset County governing officials recently at Millstone Fire Company, very good. New Jersey Business and Industry Advisory, I think that's the name, Business and Industry Association, something like that, had a legislative reception where many of us learned about their business needs. Assemblyman Shivakula was there also, representing our area. Also, recently, Franklin High School, big item, had the ribbon cutting on their new high school. I was there, I think several of us were there, Councilman Regan, and members of the Board of Education, and probably more importantly, past members of the Board of Education, because they were there when the school and the stadium were envisioned. It's easier, frankly, for me to stand there and cut the ribbon when I just happened to be in the mayor's chair, and I didn't really have much to do with putting up the stadium. So it's those people who really did it and planned it in the past I take my hat off to. Sisters Network also had their annual event. That was successful also, thanks to the Board of Education for allowing it on the grounds of the high school. Franklin is continuing to go and grow in good ways. If anything's on your mind, issues, good, bad, indifferent, feel free to contact any of us and get us on the website. You can usually get our phone numbers. There's you can get updates on our website. If you sign up, you'll be emailed and notified when things change on the website and things are happening. And for sometimes fun, sometimes business, I've got my mayor's Facebook page and Twitter, and that's just kind of fun thing for me also, but hopefully informative, and our website is always informative. And that concludes the mayor's report for today. So now we have item 7, the deputy mayor's report from Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm struggling a little bit with laryngitis, so I'm going to not be speaking terribly much. I did just want to make mention of an article that was in the Home News having to do with one of our wonderful families here in Somerset, the Sedams. They have farmed their property for 13 generations here in Franklin. It's off of Skillman Road and Route 27. They started farming in 1713 and have continuously worked that land for 13 generations. There are now 3 generations working together on the land, and they're just wonderful people. They work hard, and they are amazing. They're part of the farm community that has been here for a very long time, and I'm very proud and very happy to be able to congratulate them on 13 generations of continuous working of their land. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're at item number 8 on the agenda, public discussion, and that's about which I foreshadowed you. This is the time to speak of anything of a general nature. We're glad to hear it. So in a moment, we'll open the meeting for people. I ask you to come to the podium, give us your name and address, and please note that we're being audio taped, we're being videotaped, broadcast on our local access channel. As is our policy, people can come up once per meeting with tell us what you want or ask us any questions. There's 5 minutes. There's no yielding of time, and we'll try and answer any questions that you may have. If you want to give us your thoughts, that's perfectly fine. If you want to ask questions, please do that also. There's a timer, so when you hear a tone go off, that means 3 minutes has elapsed. When you hear multiple tones, that means 5 minutes has elapsed, which is the time, and I'll ask you to wrap up your thoughts, and certainly we'll give you any follow-up at that point. So, is there motion to open the meeting for public discussion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Now the meeting is open for public discussion on any item of interest to the public. Please, if you want to speak, please raise your hand. When I recognize you, come to the podium, give us your name and address, and also direct all comments to the council, and if we have to answer, we'll so direct. Yes? Yeah, come up to the podium. One of our Franklin's finest students, right? Yeah, kind of pull it on down. Also, if you keep yourself about 3 or 4 inches from the microphone, we hear, plus our audio picks it up properly. So, good. Go ahead.
So my name is Ariel Kamaligan. I live at 59 13th Street. And I am currently a senior at Franklin High School, and I spoke with some members of the Food and Water Watch as president of the Environmental Club. And the issue came up about fracking or hydraulic fracturing. And this is a method of collecting natural gas, which involves pumping water as well as shale and sand into the ground in order to fracture the layers of shale rock beneath the earth and release natural gases that we can collect and use for energy. However, during the process of fracking, this also releases many chemicals and dangerous gases such as carcinogens like benzene, toluene, formaldehyde, and diesel. And these chemicals are also endocrine disruptors, and these chemicals do not have any way of actually being disposed of after fracking. And in Highland Park and New Brunswick, they've actually recently created an ordinance against fracking. I believe here in Franklin, we do have a resolution against fracking, but I believe perhaps we should join Franklin Park, or New Brunswick and Highland Park, in creating an ordinance against fracking, as in Dimmock, Pennsylvania, as well as Pavilion, Wyoming, which are areas where fracking is very common. They have already lost their access to clean drinking water due to its being mixed with these different carcinogen and endocrine disruptors such as benzene and toluene, and the different chemicals that come from fracking. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. If anyone wants, we can probably take that up in one of our committees or go through at some point. And later
comments.
on, we have council comments. Perhaps someone will weigh in on that. So thanks a lot, and I'm impressed, as I'm sure we all are, come here for an issue that's close to your heart and give Mr. Walsh of Food and Water Watch our affection.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very good, very impressive. Anyone who would like to speak? Something of a general nature? This is the time. Mr. Schaefer?
Good evening, Skip Schaefer, 2 Lair Terrace. I'm a registered independent, so this isn't a Democratic or a Republican thing at election time. I feel I have a license to yell at both of you. The Franklin Township Council over the years has a long history of wasting taxpayer dollars, in my opinion. For years, you ran the mini dump at a deficit of $150,000 a year. You had a garbage study one year for $40,000. The study was so flawed that it wasn't even presented to the public. There was mismanagement of a telecom bid for 5 years in which tens of thousands of dollars were paid out for services not received. I don't want to go through the whole sordid list again. I've done it multiple times at these meetings. Sounds like a broken record. This year brings new waste of at least $160,000, the total so far of the town's fight against a digital billboard on Route 287. And I'm going to lay this at your feet, Mrs. Sherman. I'm not pro or anti-billboard. I'm against you wasting my money. You have said that you are personally against the idea of digital billboards anywhere. It's an eyesore, it's dangerous to drivers, blah, blah, blah. You know, personally, I don't give a damn about your personal preferences when you sit in that seat. You're supposed to make decisions based in the best interest of the 60,000 residents of Franklin Township, not on your personal feelings. 4 people from the town's planning board have said that this billboard will not be able to be seen by a few residents claiming otherwise. Residents in your ward, I believe, Mrs. Sherman. The town lost a lawsuit brought against it by Rotoclip, which, by the way, employs 300 people and pays $275,000 in property taxes to this town. Yet you insist on appealing the court's decision, and now the costs for this appeal alone have risen to $160,000, and it's still growing. Do you realize there are at least 3 other digital rolling message boards in Franklin Township? They're not billboard size, but all are in or near residential areas. Why were they allowed? But you continue to fight against one on 287, where it can be argued that it won't be visible to any Franklin Township residents. Again, I'm not pro or anti-billboard. I'm against you wasting my money in return for votes, Mr. Sherman. This lawsuit should have been always handled on a private basis from residents who thought they were affected by the billboard, not Franklin Township. You have no right to spend the money of $60,000 residents on the behalf of maybe half a dozen homes. $160,000 when you don't have enough money to fully fund your police force, among other things. You've been overheard several times, Mrs. Sherman, in reply to residents questioning the town spending $10,000 on this project, $25,000 on that project, as saying, it's only $25,000. That's not the way to run the town's finances. I hope you don't plan on bringing any more unnecessary, only $25,000 projects to a council vote anytime soon. You've already shown in your time on council that you value personal beliefs and pandering for re-election votes over spending money wisely. I urge all the residents in your ward to not return you to this council on November 5th. You have clearly demonstrated you can't be trusted with the responsibility to serve the whole town.
Do you want to answer or wait for council comments?
I'll just make one quick comment. That was the most unpolitical comments that I've ever heard, but I'll talk more about it during council comments.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on things of a general nature? Yes, sir.
No.
My name is Neil Stratman. I live at 21 Gauguin Way, and some of my neighbors are here tonight as well. We had some concerns about privacy in our yards as a result of Middlebush Park improvements. Mr. Vornlockers, I think, addressed those concerns in some ways. Maybe he can tell us what some of the plans would be for this.
So Mr. Stratman lives at the end of Gauguin Way. There's two houses really at the end of Gauguin Way that have no screening from Middlebush Park. The remainder have a wooded area or other kind of physical obstructions that block the backs of the houses from the park. But I went out yesterday, and it was very clear to me that these two houses in particular at the end of the cul-de-sac are completely exposed to the park. So I met with the township engineer this afternoon, and we went over the plans and what was proposed. And what I've instructed him to do is we are going to plant, and Councilman Chase, I'm sure, hopefully you'll chime in here, cypress cedars. Does that sound familiar? Cypress spruces. They are deer-proof, as I was told. Not just deer-resistant, but deer-proof trees.
But has anyone told the deer?
Has anyone told the deer? I guess they taste bad, is what I guess is what I've been told by the nursery. The Public Works is going to plant 2 rows along the berm that's been constructed to the rear of these properties. Between 40 and 50 trees in each row, staggering. These trees grow in at a rate of about, in diameter, about 1 foot per year, but they'll be staggered in such a way that it'll block from the initial planting the view of the park to the rear of these houses. And there'll be the berm goes anywhere from 2 to 5 feet. These trees are 4 feet tall, so it should be about, because they'll be planted just off the crest of the berm, will be anywhere really from 5 to 8 feet high and in a complete kind of hedge of pines and these trees are, we are able to prune them and keep them at a certain height. They will grow apparently up to 30 feet tall. Obviously, we're not looking for them to be that tall, but it should completely screen the backs of these 2 properties from the park and vice versa. So that I am hoping, as long as the nursery can get the trees in stock, we should have that done this fall. So, within the next 2 weeks. That's the plan right now, unless we can't get the trees. And then, as I discussed with Mr. Stratman, then we'll do that first thing in the spring planting season.
Well, I thank you very much for getting on that. I did receive that email and suggested that Mr. Strothman and others come here tonight to hear what was going to be said. So I do care for my constituents, and I am very appreciative of the township making sure that their privacy is not totally eliminated. That was never our intention. So I hope you're happy with where we're going. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah.
My name is Brian Crawford. I live at 24 Gauguin Way. I'm Mr. Stratman's neighbor, and no, it is not good enough. I have a document that I will distribute. You're getting it in advance. It'll be coming by certified mail to the appropriate addressees tomorrow, since I couldn't get it out today.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Crow, is there anything else to say, or that's it for now?
I came here to the council last year raising concerns about the plans for this park. I was promised by the council we would have a buffer. That obviously did not happen, and there was a war on the environment conducted by the township in my backyard. I am very unhappy about it. I wish we could put back the destruction that has been caused by the township. Obviously, that will not be possible. There's 100 years at least worth of vegetation, wildlife that has been dislocated and destroyed, and my backyard will never be the same. And trees, how much do you think that will discourage the foot traffic that now is coming straight through my backyard because it's a shortcut from the park to the street? You think the trees are going to stop them? I don't think so. What about the headlights that are shining in my windows of my bedrooms now from the park in all hours of the night? The park doesn't have a gate and it's not locked. There's all kinds of issues you'll find in that paper, which will be sent tomorrow, as I stated, and I'll be happy to address any of the specific points in that document with anybody that's interested. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Township Manager, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, Councilman Wright?
Yes, you may, Councilman.
He brought up gates. We don't have gates on most of our parks, do we?
No.
That's what I thought.
No. And in fact, I mean, I certainly, the police department does patrol the park, so certainly the headlights
Right.
could belong to a police car who's patrolling the parking lot.
But there are no gates, no locks, no nothing.
No.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak of something of a general nature? This is the time.
See no one come forward, Mayor, a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Seconded.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public discussion is closed for this meeting. Thank you very much for that. We now come to item number 9, council comments. Which side are we on this time? Over here. Okay, so Councilman Prasad, Councilman Rajiv Prasad, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Of course, I want to wish everybody a happy Diwali, which is actually on November 3rd. And I'd urge everybody to go out and vote on November 5th, Tuesday. And from a personal point of view, I will be missing the next 2 council meetings as I have some elective surgery that I'll be recuperating from. I was, part of an accident 2 years ago, and it took its toll, and now I have to address it. So would like to be excused for the next 2 council meetings because of it. And other than that, the mental health initiative, I commend Councilman Regan for it. A lot of our shooting incidents that have taken place are basically due to mental health issues that we need to address in the country. And I'm glad that Councilman Regan and his wife Janice have brought it to the fore. And of course, the Little League Baseball, Councilman Vasanella's initiative there, as a former parent of the Little League, that's the least we can do to prevent our kids from becoming couch potatoes and keeping them healthily occupied. So appreciate that. And as far as the Middlebush Park is concerned, it is unfortunate, but we will try to do whatever we can to redress the issues that are there and find some accommodation that is a happy medium for everybody. Again, our kids come first, and hopefully we can provide them an environment where they can have healthy pursuits of baseball, soccer, etc. And we are way underfunded as far as parks and recreation is concerned, facilities-wise. And so we need to focus on that and provide those facilities. So hopefully we can work that out. And as for the fracking, I was the one who sponsored the resolution, and we'll definitely look into that for you and see what we can do to join New Brunswick and Highland Park in that. I know the mayor is partial to the name Ariel, and his daughter's named Ariel, so he had to congratulate you on it. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Carl Wright.
Good evening. I would like to comment on Middle Bush Park. I share the concerns and the attitude of Councilman Prasad. And being that I'm late coming into this meeting, I'm just going to pass it off to Councilman Kramer.
Councilman Phil Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief comment on Canal Fest. Thank you for all of those who came. I'm sure you enjoyed it. It was a wonderful day. We are currently arguing over whether there were 2,000 or 3,000 people there. It was quite a success. I saw the mayor, Mr. Vornlocker set up a table, asked the manager for $1, and who was it that paid you?
The former councilman, Bob Metler.
Bob Metler paid you $1 to ask a question, which he donated to the food bank. Mr. Chase was there, and Councilman Chase, Councilman Regan were all there. A lot of fun. Till next year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Ted Chase.
Yes, I had a good time at the Canal Fest. I'm a little worried that if it keeps growing, it'll be too big for East Millstone to hold. It's pretty difficult to find the parking there as it is. In response to the comment about fracking, I mean, one problem is ordinances we pass are really only effective within the bounds of Franklin Township, and I don't think that the geology here is going to lead anybody to propose drilling for natural gas here. The very real concern I have is that the fracking going on in eastern Pennsylvania, their wastewater is likely to, if it is not strictly contained, is likely to drain into the Delaware River. The Delaware River supplies water to the Delaware and Raritan Canal, from which water is drawn for North Brunswick and New Brunswick, and we buy some of that water from New Brunswick. So there's a very real concern there, although I don't know that a local ordinance can do anything about that. Is certainly something to press all of Congress to put fracking back under the Clean Water Act, from which it is currently exempted. For Mr. Schaefer's intemperate attack on Councilwoman Sherman, first of all, I'd point out that it was a vote of the council, not just of Councilwoman Sherman, to pursue the appeal on this case. And secondly, I would say that thanks to a decision in federal court, in fact, both in federal district court and on appeal, upholding the right of Mount Laurel Township to regulate digital billboards within its borders, we think we have a very good chance of winning that appeal about the billboard in proposed billboard in Franklin Township. And I'd point out that, yes, Rotoclip employs a lot of people. None of them would be involved in running the billboard. And it pays taxes. That's based on their present operation. To have a billboard there is just frosting on the cake for them. I think there are a lot of people across Route 287 who are very happy that the township, first of all, passed an ordinance not allowing digital billboards, and secondly, has defended this ordinance in court and on appeal. Rather more people than Mr. Schaefer. With respect to the end of Rue Gauguin, all I can say is that I have suggested since the beginning of this project that wherever we were proposing to cut down cedar trees to make room for more soccer fields, that instead we move the cedar trees to make a buffer for Mr. Crawford and Mr. Scott. Unfortunately, this seems to have gotten lost in the shuffle, or perhaps it wasn't feasible, but it has always been a concern of mine to maintain as much buffer as possible there. Trying to think if I have anything further to mention besides responding to the public there. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman James Vassanella.
Thank you. I was just ironically last weekend talking, someone had presented me with the fracking, or the idea of passing the ordinance that was passed in these other towns. And like Councilman Chase was saying, we could do that, but it'd be more symbolic than anything. But we'll surely take a look at it. And a few years back, I don't know if you were watching the council meetings, people were here about fracking on a larger level, like in Pennsylvania, other states, and sending a message to, which is what we did, to Trenton about being conscious of it within the state borders of New Jersey, especially because of our waterways being affected. But thank you for bringing our attention, and please bring other issues you think we should know about. A couple quick things relevant to some committees I'm involved with, boards I sit on. New Jersey Housing Resource Center Board of Trustees, which I'm a member, had a meeting last week. And for those of you who don't know it, COA is still out there, and the affordable housing issue is still somewhat unanswered. Right now, I don't know what month we're in, but there was a 6-month window, more or less, that they would have to go back, COA, and rework all the formulas, justify how they're coming up with the numbers. And it could be left that they raise the number of obligations relevant to affordable housing units or lower them. Franklin, we're pretty well covered, but it's not just about Franklin. We need to get it right this time around. I was here in 2000 and about 8 years ago when I started on council, and we were looking at the 2014 deadline where this third round was supposed to be completed. Ironically, we are back to square one, and we're still trying to get the rules for this third phase right. But
2018, it's supposed to complete.
yes, we in a few months we should know what hopefully what the final rules will be.
And somebody will sue again.
My colleagues here are saying someone will sue again. Well, hopefully this time that won't be the outcome, but we'll see. Anyway, I wanted to mention thank you to whoever, I think the Environmental Commission was the one who sponsored a wild turkey seminar that was held here, I think it was last night. And although I had to work late and couldn't attend, my son's Cub Scout troop, along with many individuals from the community, attended, and from what I understand, it was well received, and I hope they do it again. I believe it's to no cost to the taxpayers. Last year there was one dealing with coyotes. There was, I wanted to mention, I don't know how many of you out there travel the Hamilton Street corridor, but after a couple years now of working with a developer, working with the town, getting permits and whatnot, finally, I think in the last couple of weeks they broke ground. This is near Highland Avenue on the Hamilton Street stretch over there. We're going to have some retail offices and a couple of apartments. I think it was just a matter of pulling together all of the details, financing, permits. But ground is broken. I believe they were up there digging today. Oh, I was up there, and I think they had just left. But so those projects that have been in the making, and both township staff and the Hamilton board have been working diligently on getting going, are finally actually happening. Shovels are in the ground, or backhoes are in the ground. Just one mention, I don't, Councilwoman Sherman could respond as far as concerning the billboard issue, but I do want to just clarify something, and I respect opinions on all sides of that issue, but we spent 2 years, a lot of people in-house here, planning board, lawyers, working on laws that we felt was right for the town. And at the time, we had so many groups and people chiming in on that process. We came up with a law. Somebody wanted to come get a variance. It doesn't matter if it's Rotoclip or a little mom and pop shop. They wanted to come for a variance. They were turned down. A variance basically means you want a special permission to do something that's not allowed by law in our town. We did not sue them. They sued us, which is their right. But I just want to clear it. I sympathize with the concerns Mr. Schaefer has, and I think I understand somewhat of where he's coming from. However, this was not something that we took an action against a local merchant or a local resident or anybody. They sued us when they lost. And we'll see what happens with it. But there is legal precedent. There has been, and now there's even more that substantial, that I don't know if you want to call it justifies, but I believe represents that our laws are proper and correct and fair. So we have dozens of lawsuits a year. Most of them are completely unavoidable. And it's up to the town, and we deal with it with our attorneys to decide if and when we'll ever appeal an outcome. But again, I can respect where people's concern about how money is spent, but I just wanted to point that out. I think that's very important. Otherwise, that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Brian Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So besides the Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation we did, I'm actually wearing pink in honor of the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Again, a very serious issue and health situation in the country. Certainly that one has a lot of visibility, and rightfully so, as you know, it's a cancer disease that we have to solve. So I just wanted to note that. A couple of things tonight that I'd like to just bring to your attention. So, you know, relative to the 60th birthday of the Little League, the Franklin Township Little League, we also have a resolution tonight leasing land to the Somerset South Boundbrook Little League. So there are two Little Leagues, you know, in town that we support. And again, this is our, you know, responsibility, our duty as part of a town, municipal government, to work with organizations like the Little League. I played Little League, and then when we moved here in 1987, my children, both my daughter and my son, played in Little League in T-ball and did the coach pitching thing, kneeling down and all that. And it's very important for the kids to have that structure and have those programs. And those programs, as mentioned, are run by volunteers, by parents, by uncles, by brothers, by aunts, by sisters. And then there's the infrastructure, the people who work, you know, selling the hot dogs and doing the fundraiser. And so there's a lot of organization, and as, you know, I'm sure many parents in town listening, you know, are aware of how important Franklin Township or Somerset South Boundbrook Little League is to the community at hand, along with the soccer clubs and the wrestling clubs. So, you know, I'm very happy that we have that resolution here tonight. Additionally, a resolution that helps our citizens is we are doing awards for affordability assistance programs. That's helping. It's a grant to help with down payment assistance to families. Again, in these economic times, middle class, as we know, and as you know in the reports, middle class is getting slammed by, in New Jersey specifically, we're losing middle class families moving into low income and poor families. You know, it's clearly documented over this current administration just how indifferent they are to the middle class and to the lower income families in this state. So, you know, grants like this help folks to stay in the middle class, to be able to get a townhouse, to get their own house, to move out from an apartment and have that dream that we all we all like to have. There's another ordinance regarding something that came through public safety that that Councilman Kramer drove, so I'm sure he'll talk about it later. Relative to Councilman Kramer, I do want to thank him for his driving, being one of those great supporters and a significant driver in the organization in the starting of the Canal Fest. Again, it was a great day and just a day to enjoy the community at hand. So that was really a nice day. You know, having someone here from Franklin Township High School to get up and speak their opinion about fracking. Both my children went through Franklin High School. It's very important. My daughter would be very proud of you. She's an English Lit teacher and is in public speaking and has done those things too. You know, the fracking, as mentioned, you know, we did do a resolution. The ordinance has another technical purpose for it that at this point doesn't seem to have applicability here in Franklin because of the fact that an ordinance really is tied to the local municipality. But having you come up and express that here to keep that in front of us is what this town is about, is what democracy is about, and what it means about people who care about their community willing to, you know, if it comes to it, to come here and hear and express their opinions. Just like the gentleman expressed his opinion about, you know, the money he feels not being used correctly in a lawsuit. Other folks concerned about parks and the effect of, you know, their privacy. This is what this town and this community is about and what democracy is about. And that's why we have these meetings, and that's why we have this hall. Again, you know, we had the special election, you know, talk about an extreme waste of money, just an outright waste of taxpayers' dollars. $24 million spent for a special election that could have been held, and there was no reason not to have it on Tuesday, November 5th, other than a political move by our governor so that he could keep people out of the voting booths. And it cost the taxpayers $24 million. Our council here did a resolution on that. It was supported by all members other than the mayor himself, who did not support that resolution that we sent to Trenton that said, do not do this. It is a waste of $24 million. So, you know, everyone up here other than the mayor felt that that was important enough that we put our signature on a resolution to send to Trenton. And then relative to, lastly, just again, November 5th is the election. It's coming up. It's important for everybody to get out and vote. Use your right. Besides coming here, whether you agree with what the council as a whole is doing, or whether you offer a different opinion and feel we're not listening or we're not doing the right thing, that's the day for Americans and residents in New Jersey get to come out and express that right. So please use it and exercise it to your full right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
I think just about everything I would have said has been said already, but I would like to congratulate the young lady who came up and spoke. It's very nice to see young people be passionate and concerned about their environment. And yes, we do support your stance, and we have provided a resolution. And as you've heard, our ordinance would not be appropriate. So keep up the good work. I think you're going to go very far one day. I was very, very impressed with you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman.
Well, this seems to be the night for my constituents. I wasn't going to speak very much tonight because I am suffering with laryngitis, but if you can put up with me, I do have several things I'd like to say. Let me talk about Middlebush Park first. I had great compassion for all of the residents that are on Charles Street and Gauguin Way that are affected by this sports complex that has been put into their backyard. I tried very hard to mitigate some of the things that were going to be done in there. There was that balance between the children and the residents, and obviously there are a lot more children than there are residents, and my voice didn't carry very much through the whole process. We did do a few things that I hoped made things better. Any reasonable request to provide some relief to the residents that are living around that park, which is a wonderful thing for our young folks, and I'm happy we were able to do that. But anything that is reasonable, that is being asked for by the residents of Gauguin or Charles should definitely be taken to heart and carefully analyzed. And every opportunity to offer them the relief necessary to have the quality of life that they are entitled to should be seriously considered. It is only right that we make sure that their quality of life is not being destroyed in an effort to take care of the needs of the children. And I don't think anybody wants to be unfair. I just think there was a desire to get this done and get it done as well as possible, but some things didn't work out. So I hope to make sure that whatever suggestions are made, that we can possibly comply with, that the rest of the council will find them reasonable and want to make sure that we can at least make sure as much as possible that your quality of life is not totally destroyed during the seasons of whenever the park is being in use. We certainly can't put it back to the way it was, but what we can do, I hope we will do. So thank you for coming out and making your issues known to us tonight. With regard to Mr. Schaefer, again, thank you for making your points. This is what this chamber is all about. I find the timing a little odd, especially since this is the last council meeting before the election, and I am running for my seat again. But I didn't do any of the things that I do for political reasons. It would be a lot smarter had I said, let's just put the fields in Middlebush and take care of the children, because there are a lot more children than there are residents around Gauguin and Charles Street. But I fought very hard for my residents, for my constituents. I have great compassion for people when their quality of life is being affected. There were several things having to do with the billboard. Number one, most of them are in industrial areas. Very few that I've noticed are right across from homes. My constituents came to me in a great uproar and a great concern. I understood their concern. There have been many studies about digital billboards that are upsetting to any reasonable person who recognizes that we are not allowed to text, or we are discouraged from texting, and we shouldn't be allowed to text. But billboards which are there screaming, look at me, are okay. I never quite understood that. That was my opinion. They were not safe. There may not be rules that say that there may not have been an analysis that has conclusively proven that, but I haven't followed that up lately, and maybe there are some. But one of the main issues that I was concerned about was the character of Franklin Township. We are a beautiful community. In many ways, we have scenic byways. We are a mixture that is unique in the state of New Jersey. We are beautiful, we are diverse, and we are certainly understated in the sense that we don't have glaring billboards on our roads that scream, look at me, look at me. When we first started this, the laws were not necessarily in our favor, but times have changed. I understand billboards have been shut down in locations throughout the country because they have found them not to be appropriate, perhaps unsafe, perhaps just ugly. We had the foresight to try to defend the character of Franklin Township. This whole council stood up and said, not in our backyard, not in our township. It may not have been Mr. Schaefer's fight, but next time it may be Mr. Schaefer. And I think you would want us to say, we'll fight for you, as we have fought for other residents. In the interim, the laws again have changed in our favor. The Mount Laurel appeal, which Councilman Chase referred to, allows the community to control the fate of its character. And we may very well win on appeal. We didn't intend for it to cost the township this money, but we did not intend to be rolled over and held hostage because we were afraid to spend the money. We are very, very careful stewards of the township's money, but we do the things that are right for our township and for our constituents. And I certainly commend this council, and if I have to be pointed out as the person who started this, then I would say I would like the credit for having started this, because I think it was the right thing to do for our township. And not only for our township, but for the people who drive up and down Route 287. We don't have to smack them in the face with digital billboards at every turn that they make on this highway. And Franklin Township can be proud of itself for what the stand that it took. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now for my comments, and I'll echo in also, Ariel, I'm not a scientist by profession, I'm an accountant, so I think I've got a little bit to learn about fracking, except from what I see, so appreciate the insight you brought to us, plus the stand-upishness, to make up my own word, of you to come here and stand on your own and give us your opinion. For the residents of Gauguin, I'm a bottom line kind of person. Again, that's counting terminology. All else being equal, the residents have priority over new things being built. So you, I think, if possible, and sometimes, I should say often, where there's a will, there's a way. If there's buffering, if there's anything else, we've got to look into it, and our obligation is to see that it be done in a proper, expeditious, and costly manner. So again, that's you're not being left in the wind. We're all certainly going to look at that, if I can speak for all of us. And for Mr. Schaefer's point, and I'll first say Councilman Chase is correct. It was not just Deputy Mayor Sherman, it was the entire council, with the exception of me, who voted to go ahead with the appeal on the billboard issue. And just as a quick background, it was something like 10 years ago in that area, billboards were proposed, and I fought against it because I didn't want billboards in that area. And we basically won. They didn't go there, but times shift, and this is on Route 287, near exits 10 and 12. We are told by court that we have to have a billboard there based on whatever legal reasoning there is. So if it's billboard or no billboard, I'd say none. We're required by law to allow someone to put up a billboard, too, actually. So that being the case, I then agree with Mr. Schaefer. I think it's the appeal, I think, is 160 with the whole thing, probably over 200,000, probably approaching $250,000 to fight a losing cause. Yes, it was stated they did sue us, but they won. And now it's going to appeal. And I think of all the good things we could do with an extra $200,000. And the basic question is not to have billboards or not billboards. That's out of the question. That's off the table. It's legally. You're going to have a digital billboard, this being the 21st century, in my opinion, or one lit with floodlights like the traditional ones you see. So to me, I didn't get it. So since that was brought up, that's my opinion on this. And that concludes my comments.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Wright, please.
Could I just say a couple things? I was warmed
Go right
up and I
ahead.
jumped right in. I just showed up and I caught the gentleman's comments back there, and I was taken back because I might be wrong on this, but Brad Sutter Carroll was the firm that we hired to come in and look at this, right? And
Middlebush Park.
Middlebush Park.
Parks in general.
And they went out and surveyed people to find out what was their thing that they wanted in the park. So it wasn't that we sat here in secret and said, Ted, this is what we want to put here. Rajiv, this is what we want to put here. No, it wasn't in secret. We sat here, Brad said, or Carol came and put all that paper on the desk, and people had a shot to look at it and say, hey, this is what we want. Hey, we don't want that. Hey, let's put the park this way. I'm on the land use committee, so I know people had an opportunity to come and talk about it. So that's one thing that struck me kind of odd. I don't know where it came from, but it just wasn't right for me. Also, the land, you know, we can preserve space and everything, and I would leave that up to our Councilman Ted Chase, and I'm sure the manager can chime in. We have a lot of land in this township, open space. That's one of the beauties of Franklin Township. Now, I might be wrong, but Ted Chase can definitely jump in and tell you that we have land set aside for open space. We have a lot of farms that are open space, but they can farm them. Okay? So there's a lot of stuff for open space, and I just wanted to mention that. And again, Ted Chase can jump into it because he's our specialist on land use, open space, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to leave that to him. And then you talked about the skate park. Well, that skate park has been in operation, and the mayor can chime in on this one because I believe he was there for this. I've been here 4 years, which makes it 8 years going back that the skate park somewhere or another showed up. So it's nothing that just popped up out the blue. It was already there, okay? So that skate park is a non-issue. It was there already. And as far as sidewalks are concerned, I'm the councilman for the 4th Ward, which used to be, I guess, the heart of the town. We had the post office there and all that other good stuff. And I think I have more non-sidewalks. Well, no, let me rephrase that. I have streets with no sidewalks. 0. And I believe I talked to the township manager as a safety issue, Berry Street, where the kids come around a curb with no lights and they're in the street. So he, you know, brought back community block grant dollars to put the street in, the curbs in. So I have also asked for curbs at sidewalks for other spots, but money. So, and then the last thing, and I'll get off my soapbox, this money that we're wasting here, this money that's going out the window, and it's open space money. You can't spend it on anything but open space activities. You can spend it on a park because the park is open space. But I can't spend it doing anything else in this township, because if we could, we would, but we can't. And again, Councilman Ted Chase can chime in on this one because he was the guy that said, don't spend all of our money. Am I right, Councilman Ted Chase?
Yeah.
Okay. So on that issue there, again, I quickly ran through this paperwork. No, I can't see this. Councilwoman Sherman, she up and fought us to death. She came in the room. Can't have that. The residents of Gauguin and Charles Street, you can't do this. And we said, all right. And I'm the biggest guy in here for sports. Pop Warner football. 16 years. Coach, and I also announced the games. So, yeah, I'm guilty. So, Councilman Sherman and I, we went back and forth. Yeah, she did win. But, no, I just couldn't take this piece of paper, have you read it or pass it out, and not comment on what was written and said here, because I don't want the people in TV land to get the wrong idea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And concludes council comments, but I'm going to ask for something from our township manager, Mr. Bob Vornlocker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. One of the concerns that was voiced earlier this evening about Middlebush Park was people walking through the 2 yards that are at the end of Gauguin Way. And that also was a topic of conversation with our township engineer this afternoon. And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that discussion about a fence along along the property lines between those properties and the park had already been discussed and agreed upon, that a fence would in fact be installed. And it will be. That's part of the park plans. And while I understand that there are people that may be using that area to access the park now, the fence is part of the plans to be installed that would cut off those private properties from the park property at the end of Gauguin Way, and those plans have not changed. So I just want to settle that. The other thing is, real quickly, I just wanted to draw council's attention to the screen. I know I'm not Councilman Kramer, and I don't have a PowerPoint, but I just have a picture. The picture is of an advertisement that will be placed in the Somerset County Tourism Handbook. The Tourism Handbook is published by Somerset County and distributed to all the hotels and public places, malls, convention centers, and what have you throughout the county. This newest version of the Tourism Handbook will be out prior to the Super Bowl, so with all of the hotels to be occupied in this, hopefully, and I'm being told that all of our hotels are nearly booked already, so there's a lot of activity related to the Super Bowl. But this is a 2-year pamphlet. We're going to be placing a one-page ad that kind of showcases what Deputy Mayor Sherman was just speaking about, and that's the natural beauty of Franklin Township. For those of you who don't know what that picture depicts, those are the cliffs off of Bunker Hill Road in the Bunker Hill Natural Area. That was a piece of property that was acquired with that open space money that Councilman Wright was just referencing. This is one of the most beautiful places that you can find, and it's right here in the middle of Franklin Township. And our goal here, through the Special Projects Manager's Office, Tiffany Delaney, is to begin to promote Franklin Township for what we have. And we have a whole lot to offer, and we would like people to come and see it. So this is the start of a campaign to kind of tell people what we have and to tell them to come here and see it. So this will be for, and just as a little note, in the bottom right-hand corner, you see what's called a QR code. With a simple free app on your smartphone or iPhone, you can click on that, and it will bring you right to the Franklin Township Things to Do website page. So that's the goal, is to get people to come here and see what we have to offer. So,
Good job.
Okay, thank you. We are now at item number 10 on our agenda. So thanks for your input, which is the council discussion items. We have one today, 2014 reorganization meeting, date and time. Each year we have a reorganization meeting where we appoint various people, attorneys, commissioners, etc. That becomes a little stronger after an election. November is an election, so January council people will be seated, and even if the council actually stays the same personnel-wise, the new people are sworn in and everything. So generally, after an election, we do that on January 1st at some point. And so what we're going to do tonight is decide on the date and time. Now, here's our non-technical, non-legal constraint. Our newsletter for the township will go out on December 1st, and we have to have the copy to them November 1st. So pretty much we have to decide today when and on what date and time we want the reorganization to meet. I'll ask our attorney, Ms. Raynon, what our legal requirements are,
Well,
please.
we have to have a reorganization within the first 7 days of the year. You have a practical consideration this year in that you're going to have the terms of some council people will be expiring at the end of the year, so you'll have to swear in new council people on that day also. Now, technically, those terms will begin on the 1st. It depends on how you feel about ceremonial or not ceremonial swearing in. Anybody can take the oath of office at any time, obviously. And as I always tell council people, if for some reason you don't want to reorganize until January 2nd, there's always that concern, well, what if something happens on January 1st? Well, what I will tell you is that we will call an emergency meeting on January 1st, and the first thing we'll do is swear people in. So I don't want people to think that for some reason the government will kind of cease to function if for some reason we don't have the meeting on January 1st as opposed to January 2nd. So it's not, there's a commonly held misconception.
As Ronald Reagan once said, do you think anyone would really notice?
Correct. If it just went away or we shrunk it down to the size to fit it in a bathtub, I think is the expression people are using there.
And it's not like we need those 5 anyway, so.
So in any event, that's really the constraints. January 1st is a Wednesday this year?
Yes.
Yes.
So is there, generally what we've done, and we don't have to follow this, after an election, we reorganize January 1st. In the off years, we may take a couple extra days. So is there, opinions from?
I would say we'd still do it on January 1st at about 7 in the evening
No, that's first.
or earlier.
Generally, we do it in the afternoon. We don't
Oh,
have to
then
follow.
we'll do it in
Generally,
the
we've done it like
afternoon,
2.
that's fine.
At 2 o'clock, we've generally done it before.
Okay, that's fine.
So the first is a Wednesday, the second is a Thursday.
I think what our major consensus was, and again, we don't have to, is to just appoint the major, so to speak, appointments and committees, and then pick up the rest on the following week, unless something's meeting in the interim. So I guess basic suggestion is, seems like you modified it.
It's too late.
January 1st at 2 p.m., as we have done.
Right.
Is there general feeling on that?
It's tradition.
When would you want it, Carl?
You're,
Second sound good to me.
No, well,
The second, no, you can't do the second is a
By the way,
work.
I wasn't suggesting the second. I was just saying that if you wanted to. I didn't have a suggestion.
Thursday night.
Yeah, but then move it out to the 7th. If you're going to do it at night, if you're not going to do it on the 1st, then move it to the 7th, because we have until the 7th. So the first Tuesday would be a viable day. Council normally meets on a Tuesday, so I wouldn't, if you don't want to do it on the 1st, I wouldn't pick another day like a Thursday. I'd either do it on the 1st or on the first Tuesday, which is the 7th, which is within the legal, technical allowability.
now, unless we change our meeting dates, they'll be the 14th and the 28th in January.
Well, then we can have
Tuesday.
the first
So-
we can change.
So, based on the comments, if we did decide to have it on the 7th, that the 7th could also serve, just want to make sure everybody's here.
Yeah, we
If we do it on the 7th, and the rest of the council wants to,
We could move the.
we can have the 7th
7th.
serve as our first council meeting
Yes.
of the first of the 2 we have
Yes.
each month. And then if there was more business we had to conduct, we always have the other Tuesday, the third Thursday reserved.
Is that a motion?
Right. So,
That-
well,
well,
Mr.
I'll wait for
Our township
that.
manager wants to.
I just wanted to
Mr. Vaughan.
chime in one point. It would be beneficial to have the first council meeting of the month on that first Tuesday, the 7th, simply because there's only one meeting in December, and we will be going from the second Tuesday in December all the way into January, and because when we move from the calendar year, when bills are due, it would certainly be advantageous to have bills paid after the first Tuesday of the month rather than the second. And there's some reasons that we would not want to go the full month in between meetings going from December to January. So it's that having a regular meeting on the 7th, I guess, is what I'm asking for here.
I would like to make a motion.
Second?
Okay, so Councilman Chase?
Since everybody else has spoken, I would support doing it on the afternoon of January 1st. And then, sure, we can have the regular meeting on the 7th, but usually there's a good deal of ceremony, and of course, there's appointment of bond counsel and all of those things that we always do with the reorganization meeting. It takes quite a bit of time, so I'd rather get that over with on the 1st, and then we can get down to business on the 7th, particularly since we will have a lot of appointments to make if we don't do them on the 1st.
Councilman Chase.
Councilwoman Francois?
If your concern is the amount of time it takes to make those appointments, it doesn't take that long. We can fit that in and have the ceremonial reorganization on the 7th. And have the the council meeting on the 7th as well. If we do it the right way, we can get it all done.
And-
Doesn't take that long.
Sorry. Mayor, just have a question.
Pascarella?
Now, whatever we do, if we don't do it on the 1st, Mr. Raynone, that doesn't stop any council person that's elected to come in and be sworn in,
Of course.
Whatever.
You just have to sign the oath of office, take the oath of office from the clerk and sign it and file.
I imagine she wouldn't be here on the 1st if we weren't having the meeting, but someone could come in on the 2nd, 3rd, if it was a concern of getting the body sworn in.
Of course.
And this is for me. I could go either way. I see, though, very strongly Councilman Chase's point. It tends to go longer than we usually suspect. And I am not up for election in the council this year, so this doesn't involve me. But those of you elected, maybe you deserve your moment in the sun as opposed to real quick and then get on with the meeting. And there's probably going to be a busy day. But however it goes is fine. I'll show up on as many days as I have to.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman
There
Prasad?
have been mayors who have been elected to Senate seats.
Let me check my record.
As Cory Booker was elected
Oh.
to the Senate, U.S. Senate.
So I move that we have a vote, either 1 or 7 would be the vote.
Okay.
And we see however it comes out.
Well, there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
There is a
there's
motion.
on the
Motion and seconded, so we
Okay.
need to vote on the motion.
All right, I'm going to ask Mr. Raynone. Should we do an up and down vote on the 7th, or can we do a 1st or 7th?
I think you can do it either way. You just need 5, a majority to, it doesn't really
You
matter.
vote yes if you want the 7th, or no if you don't.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's go that way. All right, so it's motion, we'll go on the 7th, we'll take care of all our business, and if it's a no vote, we'll come back and revisit and pick another day. Okay, so, Madam Clerk, please poll the council on, any other discussion?
No.
On January 7th.
Yes.
On the
So a yes vote means.
Reorganization on the 7th and our first general meeting
Yeah,
on the 7th.
It's a combination meeting like we
Combination
have
meeting.
done the last 2 years.
Yes, we have done that for the last 2 years.
Mr. Raynone, pardon me.
Can I suggest maybe you start at 6? Just so you can.
Yeah, we can start earlier.
Start at
Yeah,
6
that'd be
o'clock,
good.
because you'll have the
That's
swearing-ins, and you can do all of that, and then.
And we can have some cake, too. I'll bake a cake.
Excellent.
Oh, my God.
I'm just joking.
Me too.
Joking.
And then hopefully we'll make it to 7 PM. Oh, no, I didn't say that out loud.
That's a good point. Okay,
I
so-
don't know if I will
joking.
be on council at that time, but that would be an extremely difficult time for me
Okay,
on the
good
7th.
point.
to be here
Okay.
at 6 because of the duties I have the first week of the year.
I see.
Okay, all right.
6:30?
6:30 work? Oh, I guess the
6:30
most show I may
better?
not be here, but.
Well, in
No,
in
you have to
deference,
get
we-
sworn in. Well, then let's start at 7.
Yeah, I would do 7.
Let's just do
wanna-
7.
No, 6:30 I think would be.
I don't want to shut anyone out.
So the motion is amended to 6:30?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Okay,
Mayor?
with the move and
Start time
seconder?
6:30?
Okay, 7th, 6:30, and you'll see the agenda at the time. Okay, now, so yes vote means reorganization, January 7th, Tuesday, 6:30 PM, then immediately going into the regular meeting. And a no vote means, no, let's revisit it. Okay, so please poll the council, Mayor McCarthy.
Councilman Chase?
No.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
No.
Mayor Levine?
No.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Basically, I want to abstain too. I'm leaving, my view is the people being elected involved in it, they should have the input on this. I could go either way, so I'm abstaining.
So is that a yes vote or a no vote?
It's an
Abstain.
abstain.
Oh, stay.
What is the count now?
Doesn't matter.
3,
2, 3, and 1?
People,
2, 3, and 1.
people getting elected should have, people getting elected should have,
We don't know who's going to.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
you should have. your-
No.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes, but I guess it's already
The
been
most
defeated.
contentious vote we've had in all year.
Excellent. It's going to be 4-4 with one abstention.
It's going to be 4-4.
Depends on the last vote.
So now you have to vote.
Okay. And-
Call the vote.
And Councilman Wright.
Yes.
That was 4-4.
Okay,
One
so
abstention.
4, one abstention.
So it
that
fails.
The abstention
fails
means a
because
yes.
It does not pass. You need a majority for it to pass, a tie
Right?
vote.
Abstention means
doesn't
yes,
go.
it goes with
But we don't have
whatever
the
the
default, so we
majority.
have to-
Yeah, except if it's 4-4, there's no
But
majority.
it wasn't
Resolution,
4-4,
it could still be.
because he voted
It is.
yes.
It's
4-4.
4-4
Still 4-4?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
4-4 and 1.
and 1.
And one
Okay,
abstention.
so motion for a new and improved time and day.
Okay.
I move for 2
Count-
o'clock, January 1st.
Okay,
Second it.
okay. So January 1, 2 p.m.
Is
For
it-
moved in second, if, anything else? And then could
Wait.
ancillary to that might be, and have the first meeting January 7th as suggested?
Sure.
Okay. Is that okay?
Ancillary approved.
Okay, so the motion then is reorganization January 1st, 2 p.m., but have the first regular meeting on the 7th due to the length of time from December at the normal time, 7 p.m.
So just to be clear, the people that voted no were all of the new, will be the newly re-elected people?
Councilman Vasanella
Mixed
voted
bag.
yes.
Councilman Wright.
Mixed, okay. Because if that's
We don't
the
know who's
sentiment, I
actually-
agree with you. If they
because we're
feel
only
that strongly
candidates.
about it, then we should let them get sworn in on the first.
Yeah, I agree too.
Two. Oh, okay.
Okay,
And this is a new motion, right?
yeah, January 1st, 2 p.m. reorganization, then the first regular meeting on the 7th, as opposed to the 14th due to the length of time, at the normal time. If nothing...
Or the people
Councilman Kramer?
the people, you might have it decided by all the people who will definitely be on council then, and that would be all of the at-large, excluding the mayor, because the mayor may be a senator by then, so.
Oh, Brian, you have to abstain.
Never mind.
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, I withdraw that.
Yeah, that's,
The permutations
All right,
toggle
let's
the
move on to
motion.
motion.
Okay.
Over and under.
If nothing else, but good
We
analysis.
take it up at the next meeting then, or we?
No, we don't.
No, we have to vote
We
tonight.
have to
Yeah,
do...
let's
I think
do
they
it.
figured
need-
out the government
yeah.
shutdown faster than this.
we need to know
Yeah.
the meeting dates for January by November 11th so that it could be in the newsletter, because the newsletter goes out December 1st.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, we're clear on the motion?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Councilman Wright, you okay?
Go ahead, say that one more time. What's the motion?
Have our reorganization meeting January 1st at 2 p.m., and the first regular meeting on January 7th, instead of the 14th, at 7 p.m., the normal time.
All right,
Okay?
okay.
Still clear? Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on that.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
I may be out of town on the first, so I don't think it even matters. I'll vote yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion is carried, I think enthusiastically, but okay, anyway, carries. So,
Green Mountain.
terrific.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I
Councilman
would
Wright?
just like to say the last 10 minutes, I mean, Comedy Central couldn't have been better,
Okay.
okay?
I didn't think it could have been.
All right, so now thank you. We come to item number 11, approval of the minutes. We don't have any for this meeting. So we go to item number 12, approval of the warrants. The warrants are the bills that we pay. So warrants in the amount of $1,800,814.82 on October 22nd, 2013 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion to pay the warrants as read?
Motion to pay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on payment of the warrants.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
So it might be one or two appointments.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried, thank you. We next have our ordinance hearings. Ordinances usually go into law after 2 votes. There's 1 vote generally, and then usually the next meeting or 2 after that, there's a second vote, and it passes the second time it goes into law. At that second vote, there's a hearing on that ordinance where people can come and say anything on his or her mind. So there's two now, so I'm going to ask if anyone wants to speak. It's going to be related to these two particular ordinances. And after that, we'll have one ordinance on the first reading. Okay, so the first one of the two ordinance second readings, first is 13A on the agenda, ordinance number 4039-13. An ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing drainage easements, drainage and access easement, site triangle easements, and water main easements, Summerfields at Franklin Homeowners Association, Inc., Phase 2, Section 2, docket number PLN 2006-0030. This is a fairly standard easement in Summerfields. That's the new development being built near Canal Walk. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication. A public hearing is in order. Is the motion for public hearing on this particular ordinance?
So moved. Seconded?
Did I vote on the warrants?
You did not.
No?
Moved and seconded.
Okay. Moved and
Do this.
seconded.
Do this.
All right.
Oh, I thought you asked me if it was.
Okay. Move second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone who wants to speak on it, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one coming forward, I move to close the public session.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Okay,
Seconded.
take that. Move in second. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 13A, ordinance 4039-13, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried. Backtrack a quick question to Ms. McCarthy. Did I complete the warrants, move second and vote?
Yes.
I did that, okay, I missed, okay, thank you. Thanks. Okay, so now we're at item 13B, that's the second ordinance hearing and final. It's item 13B on the agenda, ordinance 4040-13, ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, Chapter 46 Personnel Policy, Section 46-13 Retirement Benefits, subsection B. This basically changes, someone has to have 25 years instead of 20 years in our pension system to qualify. That makes it in accord with state law. There's a couple other little things in our personnel ordinance that this does some housekeeping on to make it correct and bring it again in accordance with state law. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication. The public hearing is in order. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this particular ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one coming forward, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public discussion is closed for this particular ordinance. Thank you very much. Motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved
did that.
and seconded.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 13B, ordinance 4040-13, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois? Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
I'm voting yes, and just as the follow-up to the mayor, this really is just a technical correction. This does not change any benefits or related to medical benefits or anything. It's really just to bring our ordinance in line with the state.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We have one ordinance introduction this evening. That's item 14A on the agenda, ordinance 4041-13.
Well, why does it say not
Um,
30,000?
Is an ordinance authorizing the lease of certain premises owned by the Township of Franklin in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, to Southbound Brook, Somerset Little League, for utilization as Little League Baseball Complex. This is the Township of Franklin
I said them, I didn't hear it. I guess we were talking.
leasing the Little League field to Southbound Brook Somerset Little League for $1 a year for a 5-year period. And, Madam, if the check bounces, you'll let us know? Okay,
let you
good,
know.
thanks. All right. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption on Tuesday, November 12th, 2013, at 7 o'clock p.m. here at the Municipal Complex. Is there a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. If no discussion, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 14A, ordinance 4041-13, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried.
And Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Vasanella.
Real fast, I just want to, I know I spoke a lot earlier about the other Little League we have, which obviously has reached a milestone, not to take anything away from our other Little League that I don't know when it started, but I know it's been around for a while. What year? 1958, so another 5 years, whoever's up here will have to present you with something. Yeah, I was going to say, I just wanted to make that acknowledgement because I know there are people in town that benefit greatly by your organization over there, and although not in the limelight, maybe smaller than the other one, I want to thank you for what you guys have done also.
And how is your expansion coming? Because I know we were approving, essentially letting you do it.
Saying 2 years ago, so we're kind of new.
Mm-hmm.
We might be back.
Yeah.
Okay, congratulations on that. November 12th is the final vote. Hopefully it goes along the same lines. And now we come to item number 15, the consent agenda. Consent agenda is items of a generally routine nature that can be voted on all at one time. It's any council person's prerogative to take something off the consent agenda for a separate discussion or vote. So we have items 15A through O as listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting. They are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion for the consent agenda or discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Here's, my one concern is,
We're on.
item A, Pred Poll Services. It's a, where we can, statistics and software for predictions, basically on crime and dispatching our police to places where they might be more effective. That's it in a nutshell. It's,
The chief came.
I believe it's $25,000 plus a $5,000 startup. And it's not so much in doing it as it is a little bit unproven, so we're going to see if it really does work or it's effective. It's kind of really the timing of it. It's not in our original budget. It's taking $25,000 out of basically the manager's discretionary fund. I'm not sure what our official name for it is. And I think we may be better served, though don't think I'm ready, frankly, to oppose it, but just my opinion is we probably would have been better served to wait for the beginning of the year. If there's an extra $25,000, put that in our surplus, in essence returning it to the taxpayers, because we can raise that much less in taxes for next year. If this were so immediate that lives were on the line or something was going to happen, I could see it more pending, but our fiscal year starts in January. We usually don't approve our budget till April or May, but if we tacitly agree that's going to happen, it could certainly go in there. So that's my concern on this. It was brought, I think, to most all council members. It was discussed by various committees. It was reviewed. So, again, I'm not questioning the efficacy of it. Frankly, I'm not knowledgeable enough to do that. It's just much more the timing. And like I said, I don't know that I'm ready to oppose it as to just point out my concerns at this point. And that's all I have.
Is there any?
And if nothing else, Ms. McCarthy, could you please poll the council on the consent? Oh,
Mayor, just before you,
yes, okay, Councilman Vasanella.
I'm just looking here, leafing through, I can't seem to find out ordinance. Is the contract, I guess Mr. Raynon would have that, is the contract for 1 year then?
The contract is for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. Okay, I'm looking for it here, I don't know why.
It's in the first, and it follows the resolution in your.
Yeah, no, I just.
It's $25,000 per year for a 2-year prescription. So it's actually $50,000 over 2 years with a one-time $5,000 setup cost.
So a total of $55,000 committed.
Correct.
Oh, wait, okay, I'm reading 30,000.
Well, I think the 30,000 is the first year.
And then 25 the second year.
Correct.
Oh, so it's 55. And if, upon evaluation or after a year, if there was a reason that we did not want to continue it, are we bound by this contract then for the second year?
It's a 2-year contract, correct.
Okay. Yeah, overall, theoretically, I like the idea of trying this out. I was not aware. I thought it was more of kind of like a pilot testing for a year, and that we would take a look to see if we wanted to continue it or what. But so I'm okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. And that makes a good point also. It's theoretically good. I was assured that this would not take extra police time. If it does, I hope that'll be brought to our attention if something unforeseen. But it's
the system doesn't really have any involvement as far as man hours are concerned. It's a tool that's used by our police officers that we have now, and just basically says if crime were to occur in this particular area during this particular shift, it most likely would occur in these areas, and it identifies those areas based on a lot of data that is on the back end that really doesn't require any effort on the part of police officers. It's just the software doing its job in conjunction with our records management system.
Okay,
So it basically makes our police more efficient.
That's the desired effect, is that it makes them more efficient by identifying for them the more likely areas on any particular day and any particular time where crime will occur.
And also helps prevent the crime.
That's correct. If their presence is there and that crime is prevented, then it's worked.
Right.
And I'm making the presumption that obviously whomever's dispatching the sergeants, lieutenants, chief, they have full discretion to go with or ignore that based on their own professional judgment,
Absolutely.
of course. Okay. And again, one of my bigger fears was police time, but that's been assuaged by your concerns, so thank you for that. For me also, Councilman Vasanella brings a point. If, again, I hope it works and crime goes down. If perchance after 18 months it's not, I guess we're committed for the extra time, but maybe it does need a little bit of lead time to be determined also. So again,
Mr. Mayor,
concerns. Councilman Regan?
just to offset that, in the contract, since we'll be a reference client, that if actually it works out and we end up being leading edge on this, we get discounts based upon reference clients within the state of Jersey. So though there is risk, as you say initially, and the chief, it's new technology. We worked the contract, I shouldn't say we, I had nothing to do with it, but the direction to Lou and the chief was to work the contract such that being the first one in Jersey, we're a reference client. Again, in all this, a majority of this was driven by the insight of Councilman Kramer in looking at this area.
Okay. All right, thanks. If nothing else, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the consent agenda.
Councilman Chase?
Ted?
He's in the hallway.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We next have item 16, resolutions voted on separately, of which we do not have any this evening. So we go to item number 17, old business, 2013 board and commission vacancies. Are there nominations for any vacant boards or commissions? If not, we go to item number 19, executive session. And there is an executive session on our agenda. Executive session is a time when the council can meet in private. There's only certain times we can do that, such as personnel matters, contract negotiations, and such as that. So when the subject of those minutes will be taken at the executive session, when the subject of that executive session no longer needs to be kept private, the minutes will be made public, and you'll see us do that periodically. So we have item 18A for executive session, resolution 13-498, contract negotiations, collective bargainings. This resolution is presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution for executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on resolution 13-498, item 18 on the agenda for executive session, please.
Councilman Chase? Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried. We're going to go into executive session for the item contract negotiations, collective bargaining. When we conclude the executive session, there will only be 2 items of business. Item 1 will be to vote to come out of executive session. Item number 2 will be to adjourn the meeting, so there's going to be no more functional items. So because of that, we're going to end taping at this time. Have a happy Halloween and Election Day. Be well. We'll see you.